Hi everyone, I'm Frederick, a content creator with independent thought about the future of internet. This discussion will focus on the importance and problems of decentralized storage in Web3 and discuss the future of decentralized storage. Although everyone's expectations and voices for the Web3 are getting higher and higher, it has to be said that it still belongs to the future. The reason why the author thinks so mainly lies in the moment there are many problems need to be solved urgently, among which decentralized storage is the key. After all, the biggest difference between Web3 and Web2 is the ownership of data. If storage decentralization cannot be achieved, it will be impossible for users to regain data ownership. Decentralized storage is so important to Web3 that is even the key to defining Web3, because it is the bottom line of data properties that defines it as the land of the digital world. In the Web3 era, data created by users must also belong to users. If it is still owned by the centralized platform, then it naturally does not deserve to be called Web3. Even though there are many decentralized storage projects on the market, there are still many problems. Either the threshold is too high or they cannot be implemented. We've already analyzed IPFS, Filecoin, and Arweave in previous videos, so we won't go over them here. Let's focus on the few other projects, Saya and Swarm. Saya's storage idea is to build a large-scale storage ecosystem using unused and underused hard disks around the world. The overall idea is very similar to Storj, except that Storj doesn't have its own public chain, but instead issues Storj tokens on Ethereum. Saya encrypts its own token, namely Siacoin, to complete the transaction between the two parties of the data storage, and stores and distributes the data in segments among all nodes. Its biggest benefit is to ensure that no single host has a single point of failure, and to enhance the uptime and redundancy of the entire network, while also ensuring the reliability of user data. However, Saya's consensus mechanism is not based on storage consensus, but on proof-of-work computing power consensus, which constitutes a major defect in the mechanism. Moreover, there is no Turing-complete smart contract, but only an incomplete storage public chain in the early stage, and its influence is getting smaller and smaller now. Saya uses two-fish algorithm to encrypt all data in the network to ensure data storage. At the same time, it also meets the needs of small storage buyers, allowing storage to penetrate into a mass market. Tenants are required to set aside a fixed amount of Siacoin for storing and transferring data. The contract lasts for 90 days. When the contract expires within a certain period, Saya will automatically renew the contract. If the contract is not renewed, Saya will return unused Siacoin to the tenant at the end of the contract. But it's worth noting that Saya's host lessor cannot adopt the pay-as-you-go method and must prepay the storage fee in the file contract. Although on the surface it can reduce the user's storage costs, its proof-of-work consensus mechanism will lead to serious power waste and electricity problem. Also, hard-to-fair reflects the user's storage and bandwidth resource supply capacity. In addition, Saya addresses the need for a way online and decentralized verification, but the drawbacks are still too obvious to be applied on a large scale. Miners can still simulate multiple copies of file and submit proof to the network for a witch attack. To prevent file loss, users still need to save a backup copy of their data. The transaction efficiency of blockchain based on a proof-of-work consensus algorithm is extremely low and high frequency. Real-time settlement cannot be achieved. Swarm forms the entire system through point-to-point network nodes, and was once considered a storage protocol tailored based on Ethereum smart contracts. Its biggest feature is the internal incentive system, BEAS, to implement economic self-maintenance, which is very similar to IPFS Filecoin. Swarm enhances data security and privacy to a certain extent by building privacy protection, communication and redundancy functions to ensure the availability of data and any data, where any device can continue transmit data when a single node is required. Its built-in incentive mechanism, BEAS, worked well for the early ecosystem, but looking back now, it excluded ordinary users. Because Swarm has a decentralized storage network, it is more of a content distribution system. It has very high requirements for bandwidth and CPU, which means that it requires a higher cost to enter this network. A luxurious configured device. Miners. In this case, the most active in this network is the mining farm, which has nothing to do with the general public, although it's nominally decentralized. More nodes are in the hands of large mining farms, just like the major giant on the internet today. Once the mining farm is destroyed, the consequences are very serious. From the perspective of the terminal, Swarm is not much different from the existing internet service, except that the upload operation does not happen on the specific server. From this point of view, IPFS, Filecoin, Arweave, Saya, Swarm, etc. are currently the most popular decentralized storage projects, but more of them are superficial and cannot really become the infrastructure of Web3. If the problem of decentralized storage cannot be solved, the application built on it cannot be called Web3 projects. For example, the well-known Miro really fully utilized the concept of Web3. From all aspects, it seems to be a completely Web3 product, but really it's not. The key is about storage and its service. First of all, its storage is stored on Arweave. This is a platform that advertises it can store data permanently. Articles published through the Miro are stored on Arweave with little storage space, such as text characters. To further verify its usability, the author logged into Arweave with a wallet and tried to store data using ArDrive. After several attempts, it was found that the interface was in a circling state and could not store data at all. Let's talk about its service. Although Miro storage is implemented through Arweave, it is still a centralized platform, with no difference from the existing Web2 platform. Web3 emphasizes reliability, that is, the persistence of service. There will be no data loss or service interruptions due to the platform shutdown. Miro, as a content creation and publishing platform, is itself still an HTTP URL link. At any time may be the server down or stop operation situation. Since Miro's website platform is still a centralized Web2 service, if the server goes down or stop operating, you still cannot use the service. At the meantime, even though Miro cannot delete your account and data, it can still control the display of your content arbitrarily. It is still up to the Miro platform to take down your content. In other words, your data still does not belong to you. In addition to Miro, similar platforms include OpenSea, Notion, etc. Although in concept compared to the existing Web2 products have been many advanced, unfortunately, I don't see a full package of real Web3 products here. After all, it is more like incomplete decentralization of its essence, or centralization. due to the unreliability of decentralized storage. NFT actually exists in name only. The simplest mode for NFT storage today is to store the NFT as a record, or we can call a file with a hash value on Ethereum, while the related content, such as text, photos, or videos, is stored elsewhere in the network. The reason is that it is not only inefficient but also extremely expensive to store on the blockchain. According to the statistics, it takes $20,000 to store 500 KB of data on Ethereum, which makes it very impractical to store data on the blockchain, not to mention this exquisitely high-definition data. The NFT artwork is even more difficult. You might say you are rich and happy to spend a lot of money to store NFT on Ethereum, but that's not a good idea because the ERC 721 standard doesn't support unstructured data storage at all. So, when the NFT you mint or buy on some NFT platform disappears, you shouldn't be surprised. It's still a centralized hosting platform just like Web2, not a real Web3 product. The answer can also be found in ERC 721, the most commonly used standard for NFTs. You will notice that the standard does not intend to use image metadata as a key point for owning NFT. After all, it's metadata, which means it's designed to describe other data. Plus, it's also a mutable link, which means it can change. In October 2021, a computer security researcher named Moxie Marlin Spike played around with this feature of NFT, creating an NFT whose content would change when viewed on different platforms. Not only that, but the NFT platform may also delete your content and make it permanently disappear from your wallet. In short, these NFT platforms that advertise decentralization are not complete, and the essence of incomplete decentralization is still actually centralization. At the current moment, the NFT you purchased is actually just a network link. In fact, you do not have the ownership and control of it. When the platform goes down or stops the service, your NFT will no longer exist. So, what should the real decentralization storage of the Web3 looks like? I think it should be based on two ideas. First one is that not all data needs to be on the chain. In short, my data only needs to be basically reliable and does not need thousands of copies to support it. Of course, we can also determine the copy according to the importance of the data. In the traditional blockchain, all nodes have a full copy of the blockchain data, so that the network is congested and the storage cost is very high. The other one is regular delivery, which means that the extraction of ordinary data can only take place between the two parties of the transaction, and the rights and obligations of both parties can be set through the smart contract. As for important data or controversial data, it can be on the chain to prevent bad things happen. Based on these two concepts, the decentralized storage in the Web3 era will be private cloud. In this foreseeable future, each user will have an OOD, which is owner online device, for storing his own data and running his own application services. It can be not only used to store your personal data or backup your network, but it can also be used to run your own DEC app, just like smartphones in the era of mobile internet. This device will be a standard new smart device in the era of Web3. It can be upgraded from PC and NAS, or produced by specialized manufacturers. These OODs are kept by each user, and each storage space is in the hands of the user. All OOD nodes constitute the OOD communication layers in the forms of zones. Different zones are equal and decentralized, and together with the sidechain layer and metachain layer, they form a whole new network. In this network, the internet itself is the largest cloud, belonging to all and serving all. These will fundamentally solve the problem that traditional blockchain cannot store structured data. It is conceivable that each OOD is an independent center, and users have complete control over their data stored in their own OOD. As long as users have spare space, they can make pending orders in the data matching market. Ordinary data only occurs between independent OOD projects, and only important data needs to be proceed on the chain. Its essence is very similar to the traditional blockchain, but it is different. These can be reasonably designed by storing both parties and the data matching market, so as to create a community autonomous system similar to the existing internet era. But the difference is that the interaction between the rows is completely through smart contracts, drawing the credit scoring system to better constrain the compliance of both parties to the transaction. And it is also convenient to match more suitable service providers for both parties. Use it for storing valid data, rather than a meaningless competition for computing power. What we can imagine here is that the real Web3 era, everyone can bring their own OOD into the network. Every piece of data is in their own hands, and every piece of data will realize its own value. Although I have commented on some decentralized storage projects in the previous content, it is only my personal objective evaluation. Welcome to discuss. I firmly believe that decentralized storage is a brand new track and a great project. No matter who can succeed in this track, it will be a very good thing for all mankind. I'm Frederick, a creator who has independent thought on the future of internet. If you are happy with the content, I hope you can subscribe and forward this.